first question, VAR. Are you for or against VAR?
Completely against it. Football was 10 times better before it was introduced.
Against VAR. For or against VAR?
On that point, I agree. It was better before.
So against VAR, I'm for VAR. Before we get into that, officiating, talk to me. This weekend, there's been some bad decisions, hasn't there?
There's been plenty of bad decisions. I'm not going to go on about the one in the Chelsea game, but talk about that later. First, there are just a few simple decisions. In the Wolves game, the handball they got given, it's just the referee not knowing the rules. I think we've been told so many times now, if you didn't watch it, the ball hit up off the Wolves player's leg onto his arm. And I think we've been told so many times that that's not a penalty now. And they've gone through VAR and they still give it. So I don't understand. It's just like referees getting the rules wrong, which the whole point of VAR was to make things easier for them to understand. But now you've just got basically two referees refereeing a game. In the Chelsea game, the red card was, I think Jamie agrees with me, a bit of a joke. If the referee just gave a red card to start off with, I would say fair enough. I wouldn't say fair enough, but I'd say at least he's made that decision. In the game, the referee is reffing that game. He's given a yellow card straight away. Okay, no complaints. He's following through the ball, but it's just that's how the tackle happened. It wasn't forceful.
Was it reckless?
It wasn't reckless. No, he's not like he's just got a stud on the ball. He's fully got the ball. Dingley's gone to get the ball as well. It's just unfortunate. That's what happens. It's a contact sport. You can't do anything about that. And then you've got VAR, whoever's in charge of it for this game, going into the referee's ear going, yeah, you might want to have a look at that. He goes to the screen. They freeze frame. The first thing the referee sees is after he's kicked the ball and where it looks bad, where Digne's leg's in a bad position. So immediately, basically, VAR is saying, you should probably give a red card there. Well, if you think you should give a red card, why don't you just tell him instead of making the referee standing there for 2 minutes thinking, well, I didn't think it was a red card before, but now you're showing me this, and you basically want me to give a red card. So who's refereeing the game? There's so many things going on. Another one, in our game, we all laughed at the African Cup of Nations where the referee blew up early for the game twice, thinking, that's happening in the African Cup of Nations. It's happening. Our game, it was meant to be 3 minutes added on. It blew up just as it went to 42 minutes, and there had been a stoppage for 2 minutes in added time anyway. The time's on the screen now at the stadium, so everyone can see it. Everyone's going, what are you going on about? How can you... what's going on?
Do you know why he blew early? He had best bets. He had 10 euros on the 0-0 half time. That's why he blew early.
What's going on?
I know, but I saw Sky Sports did say, look, you could have played until, whatever time, and it was going to stay 0-0. But let's so you've got your rants on VAR, and personally, referee, I love it. When I hear these, my views on Chelsea. So VAR out, big, gotta go. VAR, you're out as well.
Yeah, I think so. On just some of the reasons that Louis mentioned there. I mean, for me, listen, if you're going to have someone in the sky, so to speak, make a decision, just let them make the decision. I can't be bothered to see a referee going and standing on the side of the pitch, looking at a monitor for 2 minutes. Well, we saw the Romero handball as well. It was unfortunate because I think the shot was scuffed. Romero had to go in and try to block the ball. His arm's up there, but kind of natural to what he's trying to do. But the ball could have gone in, to be fair. So, yeah, it's a handball. We all saw it was a handball. We don't need the referee to go to the monitor and look at it. Just wherever the Sky judge is, the VAR assistant, just make the decision. Why does the referee on the pitch always have to have the final say? I don't care who makes the decision, just make it quickly. That's all. It's slowing the game down so much. And like I said, that we all saw his handball straight away. The VAR guy knows it's handball. He knows the referee's going to give a handball, and yet we have to watch someone looking at the monitor for 2 minutes on the side of the pitch. For what reason?
This is my problem. So for those who don't know, I am a qualified referee. I like to mention it a lot. But the issue is for me is the strength.
Explains a lot.
Yeah, it does explain a lot. I'm actually pro VAR, but my issue with VAR is that for this to work, you have to strengthen decisions. And we need a VAR manager. We need one person, one voice, and we need to hear that voice. So Howard Webb is obviously in charge. For me, he should be doing that. Now, yeah, you say we can't manage every game. I think it's very plausible that you work a weekend. He's probably getting paid a very good amount of money. He should be the voice of VAR. So therefore, what do we have? We have consistency. We don't have issues of, oh, this is a penalty. Oh, but that was not a penalty. Oh, that was a red card. But the Sheffield United game, that wasn't a red card. We need strength. And the problem is at the moment, referees, like to become a Premier League referee, for example, is a long process. And unfortunately, we're losing good referees along the way because it takes too long. Obviously, of abuse that comes down. And a lot of referees, when you watch it, you can tell they're getting stressed quite quickly. And they struggle, managers putting pressure on them. And unfortunately, unless there's systematic change, referees will struggle. If we can't hear the VAR conversations, then we're going to have miscommunication, lack of decisions. And unfortunately, I don't believe it will change until we have one voice. And it can't be Mike Dean, though, okay? It can't be someone too controversial. But for me, just have one person. Howard Webb, you're probably watching this, okay? Just you sit in there, you work the weekend, and you be that consistent voice. Because at the moment, like we watch football and we disagree. We might say that's a penalty, that's not a penalty. The referees are the same, they're human.
No, I agree with that. But like, again, VAR has taken out football is quite a simple game. You know, there are lots of sports where you score loads all the time, like basketball. It's not, you know, when you score in football, it's a massive thing. That's what's good about football. Yeah, of scoring a goal. And now you score, and every time you get enjoyment from maybe like half a second, and then you realise, okay, I can't even celebrate because they're going to check everything. What they do is they try and see how can we disallow this goal, which is basically what they do now. And so you can't celebrate it, and you think, what's the point? They're just like referees make mistakes. I think all footballers agree the same thing. You know, footballers make mistakes. They say this all the time. They don't mind referees making a mistake if that's just natural. If they're making a mistake when they can still see what's going on, then it's so much harder to stomach. So I don't know. No. Like, it will never go back now, but also it's making the referee's job harder. We've listened to those when they're under the mic and you've got the VAR guy like screaming at them. They're screaming at people. And you're like, what's going on?
How do you mention that?
Make it easier for them.
If you've not heard that, it is crazy. So I think it was Anthony Taylor is on the VAR, and he's like, and then the VAR was going, wait, and they're screaming at each other. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, have a little bit relaxed. If that's what they're going through extreme stress. Obviously, you're right about VAR. They're looking for any excuse to rule out a goal. I mean, Chelsea haven't even scored a goal this month, so I can't even imagine how painful that is for you. So, you know, it does feel like they're doing anything they can to take away goals, take away enjoyment, and ultimately you're going to lose fans along the way. And unfortunately, if we can't hear the mic and they're under this sort of stress, this is what's going to happen. And I do worry about VAR and referees in the future, because I'm a referee. Would I want to go back to 11-a-side doing that every week? Absolutely not.
One thing I'd say, though, is that the big clubs like Chelsea are the ones who ultimately brought VAR in because they've shouted the loudest. You had games like the Barcelona game in the Champions League. Those big-time managers, Mourinho, Ferguson, they were the ones saying that we can't have this. And there are other factors. The kind of explosion of betting as well made a huge difference to VAR. They knew they couldn't have people losing huge amounts of money on bad decisions. Ultimately, there's a lot of factors in that. But I always felt like the big clubs asked for VAR to come in, and now they don't really like it.
What a benefit to smaller clubs. I'll tell you why. For example, a Brighton, a Villa, whoever, when they go away to Old Trafford, you can't hide behind the penalty shouts anymore, because VAR will even it out for smaller teams. Because
you say that, and then you see some of the decisions.
I know, but you're getting more decisions. Big teams will have more of the ball, right? But it does even out along the season, and therefore you see inconsistent results because big teams don't always get the huge home favour. Old Trafford used to be a place you would never get a penalty, and they'd always get a penalty. Now they can't. They don't always get that.
But I was saying, like, I don't want to go on about it, but people accepted bad decisions happening before. You can't accept it if the referee can see it all and then still makes bad decision. It's just, there's no net benefit to having VAR. There's none. So it's just made the game worse.
So you're going worse. I'm saying better. I think this is a debate that could rumble on forever, right? Refs make 98% of the time they get decisions right. However, I do agree that's probably dropping due to VAR.
That's the refs saying they get 98% right. Not
2018, there was a report that said the refs make 98%.
2018, it's pre-VAR.
Yeah, I know. I reckon it'd be a lot lower now. But that'll rumble on. Let us know your thoughts. What do you think about VAR? Has it gone too far? Does it take the enjoyment out? And also, if you watch lower league football, I'd love to hear from you, because there's been games like, for example, in the FA Cup, If you play away from home, like we played Middlesbrough away last year, no VAR, amazing. We scored and I was like, oh, we can celebrate it. And I do agree with your point now.